And I'm going to turn to you, Richa, because you also started as a teacher and stepped up and out of your comfort zone. And it was transformational for you, some of your experiences as a very young teacher that led you to step up and also work with government and other allies, including the private sector, to create change based on what you saw. So I'll turn to you for your inspiration and maybe just a few words about your model. And I'll come back to maybe the scaling aspects after.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. Firstly, happy International Women's Day. As a teacher, as a young person, as a young woman, I'm extremely grateful and privileged to be here with all of you representing my children and the work that we do back home. I was a teacher for 10 years and I started teaching when I was 16 years old. So a lot of what I knew about life and myself was by being an educator. And soon after, I learned the universal truth of teaching, which is maybe very obvious to all of us here, which is that me teaching and children learning are two very different things. And in that journey, unfortunately, I also lost two of my children. Both of them were girls, and both of them lost their lives, and their families were devastated only because of where they came from and nothing else. Only because they came from low socioeconomic communities, went to public schools, wanted free education, and wanted to really unleash their potential. And this devastated me. It made me see the consequence of what we are doing and how our communities and how the realities of our children are affecting them in their day-to-day lives. And more importantly, it made me recognize that while I was a great instructor, maybe in a math or a science or an English or a Hindi instructor, I wasn't preparing my children to live through the adversities and cope with the adversities that life was throwing at them outside of the school walls. And that made me very disappointed in myself, that made me very restless, and made me want to think about children's well-being and emotional well-being of our most vulnerable children in public schools today at scale and systemically. And so with that, and knowing the reality that some of the brightest, most sharpest, and most inspirational girls that I've met were in my classroom, and there was something that was stopping them from becoming the next Nobel laureate, the next president, the next prime minister. And so with that in mind, I started and co-founded Labhya, which is a nonprofit that I started when I was very, very young. And the idea is to partner with state governments and national governments to help them implement a daily class dedicated to children's emotional well-being, to help children find the skills and potential within themselves to build strong relationships, to be resilient, to find that motivation to learn, and to ultimately become effective learners before they even walk into the classroom. We've been working at this for about 6.5 years now. About 2.4 million children every day experience such a class for 30 minutes in public schools for free across India, across about 22,000 public schools. And our dream is to work with 30 million children by 2030, of course, with the help of all of us over here.
2 seconds, something about how the private sector has a role. Thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you. And just to answer both of those questions, actually, my message and my learning for young people is that don't be afraid to partner with governments, with private players, bring everyone together and hold each other accountable to create that collective action. It's very important for us to realize that we are the people who can unlock impact at scale. And we are in those positions. We have the community to support us, and we have some wonderful enablers in the ecosystem to make sure that each young person becomes an effective learner, a healthy learner, and everything that we have in our vision for young people today and in the future. And so that's my 2 cents over there.
Thank you, Richa.